ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Port Royal Speedway for round number. I lost what round we're on. Give me just one moment here. Alrighty. We are round number 7 of 8 right here for the Royal Pain 30. And your point standings are very tight here, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is right here, ladies and gentlemen. We are in a very tight battle for the championship standings with Tyler Sexton on top of the points at the moment with 617 points and 2 wins. Dan Adkins is sitting second in points currently with 612 points. Jacob Van in third points with 600. And then you go 49 points back to Lucas Edwards. And then you go just a little bit over 100 back to Ron Fittings, who has missed the last 2 races. So we have 2 more races here for the Fast Action Racing Series Dirt Series. And we are absolutely excited to get this one underway here, ladies and gentlemen. So without further interruptions, let's get down on the speedway and take a look who is here at Port Royal. Let's The number 91 is currently whipping around this track of Dan Adkins from Milford, Indiana. You have Ron Fittings in that number 3 machine out of Sumter, South Carolina. Jake Lucas coming on board with us here in the number 7 late model. Lucas Edwards in that number 87 Aaron's Pro Late Model out of Westerly, Rhode Island. And Jacob Van out of Wesley Chapel, Florida in that number 1 machine in Pennsylvania's Hood. Tyler Sexton out of Lincoln in that number 35 machine. And Jake Witherspoon in that 04 machine. Those guys are currently not on track at this moment, but we are really excited to get things underway here in just over 2.5 minutes here in this practice session. You see here with 2 minutes, 10 seconds remaining, Tyler Sexton's currently on top of your points, or on top of the board here in practice. Oh gosh, I don't know why I'm so bombulated right now. Excited to get this thing underway here, ladies and gentlemen. there with the Fast Action Racing Series and Dirt, Pro Late Model Dirt Series. As you see Jacob Van in the number 87 of Lucas Edwards duking it out, coming back down the first straightaway here, back into turn 1. Oh, and huge contact there for Jake Lucas and the 87 of Lucas Edwards. At Dan Atkins, your current points leader over in the Fast Action Racing Series Asphalt Series. Next week at Homestead, Miami, he will battle it out with Lucas Edwards and Dakota LaRue to take home the championship next week. And then tonight we will determine who will be our top racer fighting for the championship right here on the Tuesday Night Dirt Series. So we are definitely ready to rumble with that. Let's go ahead and turn down our sound here in our comms, simply because we don't want any blinks to come through. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are switching over to our qualifying session. We are awaiting for the first driver to make his way out on track. And our first taker will be Watermelon Edwards out of, again, Westerly, Rhode Island, in that beautifully sponsored Harrods machine. And he will complete his first lap with a 17.93, as others are taking to the track currently. Tyler Sexton with a 17.96. Ron Fitting comes in that number 3 machine with an 18.35. Jacob Van posts a lap time of an 18.11. And that will put Tyler Sexton back on top with a 17.86. And as of right now, Edwards still unable to completely get that faster lap time in. And he cannot better his time there. And Edwards out of turn number 4. He's still not unable to get in a quicker time. Atkins coming around out of turn number 4 now to complete his third lap. And he will stay in third in an 18.07 as he will pull it down into the pits. As we just have a couple drivers here just running some extra heat laps before we switch over to our qualifying, or to our heat race. as we see Lucas Edwards bringing it in on the back straightaway as we fly high above this racetrack. Oh, Jake Witherspoon is out on track. As he will have 2 more laps remaining. It looks like he's having a little bit of issues in that number 04 machine. Looks like he's having issues trying to get it to shift. Like he comes out onto the track and then the car just completely dies out. Alright, it looks like they got the electrical issue taken care of. And now he comes whipping around turns 3 and 4 to get that white flag for 1 more qualifying attempt as he shoots around the inside of this racetrack and back out to that guardrail, down this straightaway, come back in, and let's see if Witherspoon can better his race time. And he does with a 17.9, and that will place him second on top of the charts. That was a good qualifying attempt there for Jake Witherspoon in that number 04 machine. As we take a look at beautiful scenes around this speedway, it may be a dirt track and it does look dirty here, but let me tell you what, this is a fantastic, fun facility to run anything at. The lanes are going to be huge depending on where these drivers put their cars. I have seen the inside and the outside work late into the race, so we're going to find out early on where these drivers are going to choose ultimately to place their vehicles as they dive down into these corners at a very high rate of speed. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and line up for the one and only heat. So let's take a look at our starting lineup for heat number 1, presented by Logan's Removal Solutions. You have Tyler Sexton in that's a number 35 machine on the inside, and Jake Witherspoon on the outside in that number 04 machine. Lucas Edwards in that number 87 Field Fillers Racing machine, and Dan Atkins racing for STS Racing on his outside. Jacob Van in that number 1 machine for Van Motorsports. And to his outside is going to be the number 3 Ron Fitting with Grease Monkey Motorsports. And rounding out the field for this race is going to be the number 7 of Jake Lucas. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a very quick, very fun heat race for you here. It's going to be a 10-lap shootout to make this happen. As they get the 1 to go signal, and we will go green this next time. Bye, ladies and gentlemen. And our pace truck is off. It is now in the hands of Tyler Sexton in that number 35 machine. And we are green flag racing here at Port Royal for 10 laps for heat number 1. And Lucas Edwards makes quick work and makes his way up into the second place. As you see Jacob Van now trying to get the inside, and he will overtake. As we see a lot of beating and banging happening out here on track. Lucas Edwards back in that number 87 machine has dropped 3 spots since the start of this race. And he is struggling in that machine as we have a pass for the lead. Jacob Van gets around the inside of Tyler Sexton as they dive back down into turn number 3. Sexton unable to make it work again as they come down this back straightaway. Heading into turn number 3 and back to the front straightaway. Tyler Sexton is trying to hold off a hard-charging Jake Witherspoon as they come around turns 1 and 2, coming back down to the back straightaway. You can throw a blanket over these 3 drivers. Not even a full second pretty much separates as you see Tyler Sexton get into the wall, and that allows Jake Witherspoon to get around him for that second spot as they come down the back straightaway. Now they dive back down into turn number 1. Our flagman Barney gives them the 5-finger salute to signal 5 laps remaining and the halfway point in this race. As they come flying off of turn number 2 once again. We got a pass back here in the pack Bruin. It looks like Ron Fitting currently has the position, but Dan Atkins wants that 4th spot as they come down the front straightaway. Heading back down into turn number 1s and 2. As you see Dan Atkins working the inside, and he will almost complete that spot. Dan Atkins, he will complete it as they come out of turn number 4. Jake Witherspoon back up here with your race leader, Jacob Van, in that number 1 machine. Van is very, very strong so far early on in this race as we get the 2 to go signal from our flagman. Jacob Van doing everything he can to win this heat race. As they come out of turn number 4, Barney gives that 1 to go signal as we have Jacob Van leading Jake Witherspoon in that number 04 machine as they dive into turn 3 and 4 for the final time. Your heat winner will be that number 1 Penske driver, Jacob Van. That right there alone, ladies and gentlemen, will show you what this feature event is going to be all about. So while we get ready to get that set up, let's go ahead and take a look at our finishing order. Jacob Van will win heat number 1, and Jake Witherspoon will come in second. Tyler Sexton in third. Ron Fitting in fourth. Dan Atkins will come in fifth. Lucas Edwards in the number 87 will come in sixth, and Jake Lucas in that number 7 machine. And with that being said, let's go ahead and show our starting lineup for the Royal Pain 30. It should be Royal Pain 40. I guess they might have upped the laps on me without me noticing. But good thing is we can make that quick adjustment. There we go. Your starting lineup. There you go. Your starting lineup here for the Royal Pain 40 is going to be the number 1 of Jacob Van. Jake Witherspoon will be on his outside in the number 04 machine. And third is going to be Tyler Sexton with Ron Fitting to his outside. Dan Atkins will be sharing that third row with Lucas Edwards in the number 87 machine, and rounding out your field will be Jake Edwards. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this race underway. As your pace truck driven by Fred is pulled off, it is now in the hands of Jacob Van in that number 1 machine for 40 laps, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get down to business. As these drivers are coming around to take the green flag, and they touch into turn number 1. The 04 of Jake Witherspoon gets thrown all the way back into that 5th spot as Jacob Van takes on that early lead. But here comes Tyler Sexton, your points leader, in that number 35 machine to the outside. He gets turned into the wall by Jacob Van, and that allows Jake Witherspoon to come back to the outside or inside and take over that racing spot. And now Ron Fitting has his eyes set on that number 1 machine, but the number 1 is not done yet with Jake Witherspoon, your race leader. As they dive down into turn number 1 and out of turn number 2, Jacob Van to the inside of Jake Witherspoon, unable to get side by side as they dive down into turn number 3 once again. Side by side, they touch a little bit. Jacob Van gets extremely loose out of turn 4, and that will allow Ron Fitting to get back to his inside as they come through turns 1 and 2. Ron Fitting trying to take over that second spot as they run side by side down the back straightaway. Jacob Van pulls out in front of Ron Fitting, but Dan Atkins is looking to his outside, 3 wide on the front straightaway here at Port Royal. As Ron Fitting goes from 4th to 2nd, Jacob Van gets a little bit loose there in turns 1 and 2, makes contact with Tyler Sexton back to that 35, and they get it settled down. But here comes Dan Atkins starting to put that pressure back on to Ron Fitting, as Ron Fitting is now starting to pull away from Dan Atkins here on lap number 6. And Jake Witherspoon, he is happy and dancing out front. He's saying, boys, keep on fighting. I will take this all the way to the win. And here they come out of turn number 4 down to 1 and 2 once again. Dan Atkins starting to get more into a rhythm here, and he is slowly gaining on the number 3 of Dan Atkins. But here comes Tyler Sexton in that number 35 machine as they dive down into turn number 1 once again. He's looking to get back onto the back bumper of that number 91 of Dan Atkins. Currently, everybody's sitting single file as they get spread out just a little bit here. As you saw in the back, Lucas Edwards in that number 87 machine struggling here at Port Royal as they come down the back straightaway and back to the front straightaway to begin lap number 10. The 91 Dan Atkins gets extremely loose, and that puts Tyler Sexton right back on his back bumper, exiting turn number 4, and he slips up in turn 2, and here comes Tyler Sexton to his inside. Tyler Sexton's looking to make the pass heading down into turns 3, but here comes Tyler Sexton back to the inside, Dan Atkins to the outside. Sexton currently has the position away as they exit turn number 2, and that will put Tyler Sexton back up into the podium positions right here at Port Royal. Really rough race right now for Jacob Van in that number 1 Williams machine, as he is trying to make his way back towards the front after having multiple contacts and falling all the way back to that 5th spot, as he looks to go around the outside of Dan Atkins out of turn number 4, unable to get it to stick, so he'll just slide right on back behind Dan Atkins for the time being, as he continues to try to make it work around the outside. And Dan Atkins is not letting him go through as he gets back up into the wall once again. Hard into the wall, into the 91 Dan Atkins. But Jacob Van keeps it straight as they come through turns 1 and 2. As he rides that outside burn, trying to figure something out to make it stick so that he can hold more momentum as he continues to ride his bumper right on the guardrail coming through these corners. And this time it worked for him as he was able to get a tire to the outside of that number 91 machine as he continues to hit that berm. And he does get a lot of really good run out of turn number 2. He is now looking to the inside of Dan Atkins coming out of turn number 4. Dan Atkins slips up, taps the wall a little bit side by side as they go in down to turn number 1. Jacob Van able to complete the pass into that 4th spot, and now he looks forward to Tyler Sexton in that 35 machine as Dan Atkins tries to come back to the inside and unable to keep it sticking to that inside. Dan Atkins, he is not giving up that 4th spot very easily. Jacob Van currently has the position, but Atkins does not want to give it up as Jacob Van jumps the curbs, and that allows Atkins to get back to his inside side by side down turn number 1. And Jacob Van is now struggling riding that curbing on the outside as we see the number 7 machine of Jake Lucas retire early from this event. 22 laps to go this time by Jacob Van. Dan Atkins still running side by side for that 4th position. Jacob Van continues to hit the outside wall in these corners, and it is not working out for him as that keeps allowing Dan Atkins to get a run to his inside. And Dan Atkins still trying to get past him here on the front straightaway down in turn number 1. Unable to complete that pass just yet. And that lap was a lot better for Jacob Van as he was able to keep the fenders off those guardrails. But here comes Dan Atkins once again attacking from the inside, unable to make it work and get that momentum out of the corner, as right now it looks like the outside lane is where you want to be for that speed. And Jacob Van into the wall, and that allows Dan Atkins to get around him on the inside. Dan Atkins slips up right in front of Jacob Van. Jacob Van turns down back in front of him, and side by side down the front straightaway as they head down into turn number 1. What an incredible show here with 19 laps remaining for this 4th spot, as we see a race brewing here for a second. Tyler Sexton wants it from Ron Fitting in that number 3 machine, and it looks like right now Tyler Sexton has that 2nd spot. But here comes Ron Fitting to the inside as you continue to see them battle in the back as they continue to run side by side. Jake Witherspoon is just pulling away from the field, and it looks like Ron Fitting, he will slow down and allow Tyler Sexton to keep the spot. But here comes Ron Fitting shooting back to the inside, looking to try to make it work. These guys are not making it fair for me up here in the booth. As you see Ron Fitting, Tyler Sexton battling it out here for a second, and Jacob Van and Dan Atkins battling it out for 4th. I don't know who to watch at the time being. And here they come back down. Ron Fitting finally gets around that number 35 machine of Tyler Sexton as they came out of turn number 2 that last time by. Everything has settled down with 15 laps remaining, but not for long. Here comes Tyler Sexton once again, taking a look to the inside of Ron Fitting as they come down the back straightaway, unable to hold that momentum as they come back through turns 3 and 4. Tyler Sexton still trying to give it all he's got on Ron Fitting in that number 3 machine, trying to make it work as he gets up along beside him out of turn number 2. It's a drag race once again down the back straightaway. Ron Fitting gets into the wall on the outside, and he's looking for the crossover, unable to make it happen coming out of turn number 4, and that allows Sexton to pull away from Ron Fitting in that number 3 machine. Let's take a look at your race leader, Jake Witherspoon, in this number 04 machine. He is on the front straightaway, while second place is just now coming out of turn number 4. Witherspoon is coming out of turn number 2. What an incredible performance right now for Jake Witherspoon in that number 04 machine. As things have settled down here back behind him, Tyler Sexton in that number 35 machine, currently riding it nice and comfortable with about 20 car length gap between himself and that 3 car of Ron Fitting. And right behind Ron Fitting is your pole sitter, Jacob Van, who's continuing to try to make something work with that Williams trucking machine, but he is just unable to make anything stick. As we see Dan Atkins in that number 91 machine trying to work his way around Jacob Van for that 4th spot, still unable to make anything stick for the time being. Lucas Edwards in that number 87 machine, he is having trouble, but he is keeping it nice and clean as he's riding around this racetrack with no problem. As we jump back here to Jake Witherspoon, your race leader, 8 laps to go this time by. A lot of things again has settled down around this speedway. What incredible racing we have seen thus far in the Fast Action Racing Series Tuesday Night Dirt Series. Let's come back here and take a look at Tyler Sexton in that number 35 machine. They are currently settled down, and then we come back here to Dan Atkins and Jacob Van now fighting for that number 4 spot. Dan Atkins was able to get around Jacob Van in that number 1 machine as they come out of turn number 4 with 6 laps remaining this time by. I think Jacob Van has everything he could except the pace car so far this race. And that has suffered harshly for Jacob Van as he fell back from 1st all the way back to 5th as he goes extremely sideways turns 3 and 4, and that allows Dan Atkins to continue to pull away. And everything's still currently quiet up here for 2nd place Tyler Sexton. As we jump back here to the 04 Jake Witherspoon, your race leader, as he goes around the lap car of the number 87 of Lucas Edwards. Lucas Edwards, he will be fighting for the championship next week at Homestead, Miami in the Fast Action Racing Series Asphalt Division when they take on Homestead, Miami in the NASCAR trucks. And he will be battling it out with Dan Atkins, who is your current points leader and looking to make it happen out of turn number 4. 2 laps to go for Jake Witherspoon for that number 04 machine. And it is all now Jake Witherspoon's race to lose as he comes flying down the back straightaway and into turn 3 and 4. White flag is in the air for your race leader, Jake Witherspoon, as he shoots around turns 1 and 2 for the final time. And out of turn number 2, nice and easy it is for Jake Witherspoon in that 04 machine. He gets into the outside wall, but that's all right. Checkered flag is in the air. Port Royal Paint 40 winner, Jake Witherspoon. Tyler Sexton will bring it home 2nd, with Ron Fitting bringing it home 3rd, as we have Dan Atkins in the number 91 machine, followed by Jacob Van in that number 1 machine, and Lucas Edwards will bring it home 6th. What an incredible race that we saw here today out of the number 04. It was a very rough start for a lot of these drivers. And before we end today's event, let's see if we can get a word with our race winner, Jake Witherspoon. Jake Witherspoon. This is Mike up in the booth. Do you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Jake Witherspoon, what an incredible run right here at Port Royal Speedway. How did you feel coming into this event? And did you think you would be able to dominate flag to flag?
Well, I had no practice, and my tires are not doing too well, but here I am.
Short, sweet, simple to the point. Mr. No Practice gets it done here at Port Royal. Are you looking forward to next week when
Yes,
awesome? Do you
yes,
think you
sir. I'll be there.
perfect? Do you have any idea on how well you're going to do over in Lima?
I guess we'll just have to see, because I don't really practice. I just show up.
You just show up and race. All right, so that's what we'll be looking for in you, Jake. Congratulations on your win today. I will go ahead and throw you back up with these guys.
Thank you, sir.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let's get Tyler Sexton down here with us. Your uh, second place runner up, Tyler Sexton. Tyler, congratulations on your P2 today. That will kind of extend your points lead here on the field heading into Limaland next week. How did your car feel today, and did you expect it to go the way it did today?
It felt good. I mean, I'm normally fast here at Port Royal. Jacob, he got out in front of me and Ron, and me and Ron was battling there for a good bit of laps, and it just let him keep on extending that. Uh, but no, I figured. I mean, we are gonna finish top three either way. Like I said, I'm always fast here.
I got you. And so, like I said, next week we're heading into Lima Land. How much experience do you have at Lima Land, and do you have what it takes to seal the deal next week?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure next week. Jake's fast. If he shows up, we'll be one or two. I mean, it's either or. I'm pretty sure as long as I finish ahead of Dan next week too, I think I have it either way. So
Alrighty, I got you on that one. I got you on that one. Alrighty, Tyler's. Thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on your P2 finish. I'll go and throw you back up.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Alrighty, let's bring down your
Who the
third
fuck is
runner
that guy?
up. Yeah, who the F is that guy? Ron Fitting. How you doing, Ron? Congratulations
I'm
on your
doing good,
P3.
man. Thank you, buddy.
Awesome, awesome. You had an incredible run here today, running a lot of it side by side with Tyler Sexton, and then he was able to get around you. Did you expect to perform that well today?
No, because in practice and qualifying, I was second to last in times. I just couldn't get it to hook up, and then the track turned out to be nice and slick, and so you got to go slower to go faster on that kind of thing. And it was fun. Got to race side by side with Tyler, and like tried to keep it on the bottom, and I finally told him is that I don't know where exactly he's at in the points, and I know finishing up there, every spot he can get helps. So I was pretty much off the throttle there for a good bit, and I finally told him, I said I can't get off the throttle any more than what I am. If you're gonna go, you need to go. And he's like, no, man, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and keep racing. So then I stepped back on it, and then him and I went back to racing side by side for a while, but the leader was already too far out after that.
Yeah, absolutely. We watched you and Tyler battle it out for at least what felt like 20, 25 laps.
Yeah,
So that was
yeah.
really fun to watch. But alrighty, Ron, thank you so much. And congratulations on your third place. I'll go and throw you back down with the rest of the guys.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
You as well. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that was your top three finishing positions. And before we head out, let's go ahead and take a look at your race results. Jake Witherspoon in that number 04 machine will come home first. He put off an incredible performance. Tyler Sexton in that number 35 Grease Monkey Motorsports machine, duking it out side by side with Ron Fitting in that number 3 for that second spot. Both are with Grease Monkey Motorsports, and they come home second and third. Dan Atkins in that number 91 machine for STS Racing will bring it home fourth. Jacob Van in that number 1 Van Motorsports machine will bring it home fifth. Lucas Edwards in that Field Fillers Racing number 87 will bring it home sixth. And then Jake Lucas in that number 7 machine had some electrical issues with his racing machine, so he was not able to start this event. Ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for us this week for the Fast Action Racing Series Dirt Tuesday Dirt Series. Tune in Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern, as we go live with the iRacing Sim NASCAR Fever Series at Richmond. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week for these guys at Limaland for their season finale of Season 1 on Dirt. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, happy time zones. See you next time.
This has been a production of the iCast Racing Network powered by iRacing. Thank you for your continued support. Don't forget to like and subscribe for notifications for all of our live events right here on YouTube and Twitch. We would like to thank SDK Gaming for their production overlays that makes this event enjoyable. Until next time, happy time zones.